Chapter 1. Shh, don't move. Do you feel that against your neck? This is a knife. If you struggle or make noise, then you know what happens. Yes, you've received a bit of training for this, haven't you? Everyone born into a noble family needs to know what to do when facing an assassin. Although, in the end, the advice they give is a bit silly, isn't it? If the assassin speaks to you, stay calm and don't give them a reason to kill you sooner than they want to. The idea is basically just stay alive longer and hope for a miracle. But I suppose miracles do happen on occasion. So I would recommend you keep to your training and stay quiet for now. I'm going to do something I've never done for any of my targets. I'm going to take off this mask and show you my face. Shh. Don't forget the knife. But I'm flattered you recognize me. As a potential heir to your house, I know you had to memorize the names and faces of members of the rival house, but I'm a rather minor member of the Blancmont family. Even though my family and yours are bitter enemies, I think most members of your family wouldn't have bothered to remember me. You seem a bit confused. It's very simple. I am the Blancmont's personal assassin. I've been officially adopted into the family as a cover. As you might have guessed, I was sent here to kill you. Technically, you're not next in line to take over the family, but your brother is... well, let's just be honest. He's incompetent. You, on the other hand, could actually be a threat to the Blancmonts if you were chosen to lead your house instead. I'm sure you're wondering why I'm even telling you all of this. If I wanted to kill you, it would be easier to have never woken you up. But that's the thing. I don't want to. When I was assigned to kill you, I did a little spying to understand who you are, what your weaknesses were. Hush. I kill people for money. Spying on you isn't the thing to get upset about here. Anyway, as I watched you, I found myself infatuated. Well, for starters, you're not bad to look at. Some of your cousins are considered more conventionally attractive, but only because they center their entire lives around their appearance. You have a sort of effortless, subtle beauty about you. Perhaps it takes an assassin to appreciate. Pleasing to the eye, but without drawing undue attention. Then there's your wisdom, the very reason I was ordered to take your life in the first place. You're practical, and you are willing to set aside the unnecessary things that others cling to. The fact that you alone have been arguing in favor of making peace with the Blancmonts in order to end our counterproductive feud. You don't care about revenge. You just want to move on. It's a shame the Blancmonts think you're lying through your teeth to trick them. I know you really mean it, though. I put on a bit of a show when you woke up to keep you quiet, but the truth is that I don't think I could bring myself to hurt you. It's one thing to snuff out the lives of greedy, cruel nobles who are a threat because of how ruthless they are, but to remove you from the world, that'd be a crime. You still have a sense of humor, even at a time like this. Alright, fine. Both are crimes. But the former is merely a crime according to the law. The latter is a crime against humanity. I was given your contract a while ago, to be honest. I've been spending a lot of time thinking about what I wanted to do, and I've finally settled on something. I'm given a bit of leeway in my job. As long as I serve the Blancmans' interests, they don't care too much how I do things. So, this is what I think we could do. I bring you back with me, and you become a Blancmans. It's perfect, you see. You're not a threat to them. In fact, you could be an asset. You won't have to die, and well, we could be together. Sure, technically, we'd be related if you were adopted into the Blancmans. But you know how common that sort of thing is among nobles. At least in this case, it wouldn't be a blood relation. So, what do you think? It's not a bad deal, right? You get to live, I get a chance at you, and the Blancmans' bitter rivals lose power. Everybody wins. Except your family. Yes, I suppose that's true. I don't like where this is going. And here I was praising your pragmatism. You wouldn't really be abandoning your family. You would just be... well... okay, you would be abandoning them. But if I killed you, then they'd lose you anyway. So you're not going to budge on this? You insist that you'd rather die than join your family's enemies? Either you're more emotional than I thought, or much, much smarter. Even if you refuse me, I can't bring myself to end you. I suppose in that way, I'm a bit emotional too. Still, you really should consider what I'm offering. Let's be realistic. The Blancmans are the winning side of this conflict. We're wealthier, we have better connections, and as you now know, we have a skilled assassin to deal with any dangerous threats. Do you really want to be stuck where you are? If you do inherit the family, you'll be inheriting a dwindling empire. It would be such a waste of your talents. You'd die poor and destitute after spending your life stressing and fretting over your situation. Who would choose that? Barring a miracle, it is a sure thing. Oh, well, aren't you clever? Yes, just like I said, miracles do happen. But you already got your miracle. Your miracle is that you're not dying tonight. Expecting more is just delusional. And even if that doesn't happen, think of what you're giving up. If you have any chance of getting your house out of the hole it's dug itself in, it will be through a political marriage. A forced one. But that's just it. I'm not blackmailing you into marrying me. All I want is a chance to convince you to choose me. In the Blockman house, you won't have to bear the responsibilities of leading, so it doesn't matter who you marry. You can choose whoever you'd like. And, I'm not a bad option. I have plenty to offer. I'm wealthy, intelligent, and I feel like we could really understand each other in a way that others don't. This is the only way to get a chance like that. I suppose technically I could join your house instead, but I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but it's not as though I'm willing to drop my entire life for you. I'm interested in you. And I'm taking quite a risk by ignoring my orders. But I am genuinely loyal to the Blockmont family. Even if it's technically only a cover, I am officially part of the family, and I'm grateful to them. But we've only just met. I see your point. If I won't drop everything for you, then I can't ask you to drop everything for me. I enjoy observing your shrewdness from a distance, but it's a bit frustrating now that you've turned it on me. Well, I suppose you've given me something to think about. You're more determined than my observations suggested. I just realized I didn't accomplish even one of the goals I came in here with. This is going to complicate things. Still, the fact that you can turn me away with nothing more than words intrigues me. I might be even more interested in you now than I was before. I expected to leave here with you, or with your head, if I could muster the strength. I didn't consider what would happen if you remained alive and at home. Well, I would recommend that you don't tell anyone that we spoke. Even if I can't bring myself to kill you, I don't have such reservations about anyone else. Don't test me on this, or they'll be the ones to pay the price. We'll speak again some other time. You might not have gotten the best impression of me today, but I'll try to show you a better side of me next time. And keep this in mind. At some point, I need you to stop being a potential threat to the Blockmonts. I can't kill you, but unless we find another way, I might eventually have to resort to kidnapping. I would suggest you find me another solution as soon as possible. For now, I bid you a good night. I hope you manage to get some sleep. Chapter 2. Oh, hello! How can I help you? Ah, you're a member of the Noirvale family. In that case, you must be here to pick up the writing supplies. Is that correct? Wonderful. Let me take a look at the manifest. Oh my, there's quite a bit here. If you don't mind me asking, what's all this for? Perhaps I could recommend some of our other products to help. Ah, I see. Yes, I have heard that the Noirvales have fallen into hard times. But I must say, it speaks volumes of your family's character that you haven't let that trickle down to us ordinary folk. So, is this all to help you reorganize your financial records to see if you can find wasted expenses? Well, that's quite sensible. But if there's anything we can do to help, please let us know. Although, in the meantime, I may have to ask for your help first. Oh, no, nothing like that. We're just a bit short staffed at the moment, and I have trouble with some of the heavier boxes. Could I ask your servants to carry them out to the carriage? Ah, I see. You have none to spare. That makes sense with your financial troubles. Well, then, I hate to ask a noble, but could you help me with them? Thank you. That's so generous. Please follow me into the back. Stay quiet. I'll knock you out if I have to. You recognize me just by the sound of my voice, then. I must have made quite the impression on you. I suppose that's bound to happen. You don't easily forget the voice of someone who held the knife to your throat. I'm glad I decided to disguise it. What do you think of the disguise? I guess it was good enough to fool you. Oh, please. It's not even my best work. One time I had to disguise myself as a literal child. Now, that one was a challenge. As for why I'm posing as a storekeep, well, there are a few reasons. The first is that I wanted to let you know that I'm still keeping an eye on you. You've done well not to tell anyone about our meeting, but you're starting to get a little bold with your questions about the Blancmont family. Never forget you mustn't let anyone realize that you and I are affiliated. Not unless you join the Blancmonts. Well, of course, I could have just snuck into your room to talk to you about this. If I were some rank amateur. Any decent assassin wouldn't use the same approach twice. That's a good way to get caught. I doubt you will set any kind of trap for me, and I really doubt that any trap you would set would actually catch me. But there's no reason for me to be careless. No. I'm afraid I haven't had much luck in finding some other arrangements. I pursued many possibilities, but I keep arriving at the conclusion that so long as you remain a part of the Noirvale family, you will be a threat to the Blancmonts. That's quite the conundrum. Sometimes I wish you weren't so competent, but then I realized if that were the case, I likely wouldn't have fallen for you in the first place. And as easy as it would have made things for me, I can't say I regret falling in love with you. For the longest time, the only thing in my life was my career as an assassin. It feels liberating to have another goal now. Something else to turn my attention to. I haven't given up yet, of course. If at all possible, I want to find a way to make this work for the both of us. Kidnapping you doesn't strike me as a very good way to begin a relationship. Speaking of which, I was thinking that perhaps I didn't give you the best impression of me last time. Yes, the death threat was the main issue. It was an empty threat, but I imagine that provides little comfort, doesn't it? I made you feel unsafe in your own home, your own bedroom. And that's the sort of thing that can stay with a person, and though I don't see how else I could have done it, I regret it nonetheless. But aside from threatening you, I feel that I've only presented one side of me to you, my professional side. I just want you to know that while I'm an assassin, I'm not just an assassin. I have other aspects to my personality. I'll confess, even at the best of times, I'm not always especially expressive. When you make a living killing, you start to feel a bit numb to things. But still, I do like to laugh from time to time, and I have my own pastimes. So, although I'm still looking for solutions, I would like to have the chance to show you a slightly more personable side of me. Perhaps, if I can successfully woo you, you'll decide to come over to my side willingly. That would solve everyone's problems at once. uh, yes, I suppose I am. I'm asking you out on a date. I'm fairly confident that if I am given the opportunity to show you what I can bring to the relationship, you'll find yourself drawn to me as I am to you. So this is what I was thinking. A week from tomorrow, after the 6th bell has rung, we'll meet in front of the local tavern. I'll be in disguise, obviously. It wouldn't do for you to be seen with a Blancmont. When I see you, I'll approach you and say you're neither early nor late. That's how you'll know it's me. We'll get a drink and a bite to eat, and then I will take you out to a play. I quite enjoy theater, and I've selected one of my favorites. After that, well, we can keep it a surprise. What do you think? Can't exactly threaten you into agreeing to this. It would defeat the purpose of endearing myself to you. All I can do to convince you is to promise you an enjoyable evening. I suppose if you need incentive, you could consider it to be a chance to woo me back. I don't find it likely, but perhaps you convince me that you're worth abandoning the Blancmonts after all. Oh, so you don't need convincing, do you? Well, that's quite flattering. In that case, thank you for giving me a chance. I feel a little bit silly. I'm supposed to be a hardened killer, but I just feel a little bit giddy that you agreed to a date. Maybe it's because it's new territory for me. I've been in relationships before, but only ever as part of a cover, usually to extract information or get close to someone. So, while I'm not inexperienced, this will be my first real date. I suppose I'll really have to put my heart into this one. I've always done just enough to be appealing to my dates. Trying to go above and beyond for someone, that's going to feel strange. Oh, well, that's sweet. It makes me happy that you feel excited as well. I must say, I wasn't expecting you to be quite so amiable after last time. I mostly just put my feelings onto you and made it your problem. True, I did spare your life, but that's rarely considered a noble thing. I've spared a small number of people, or at least tried to, but they've always responded by attacking me or trying to expose me. I'm very grateful that you're different. Well then, it seems that we'll be seeing each other again very soon. I have to leave very soon, I'm afraid. The store owner will be back from the errand I tricked him into in a few minutes. When he gets back, I'll need to be gone, or he'll have some questions for me best left unanswered. Ah, right, the boxes. Sorry, I don't have time to help you with those. You can wait for the owner if you'd like. But just before I go, just keep an eye out. You were very vulnerable today. Once again, you're fortunate that I don't wish you harm. You're a noble. I may not be the only assassin you ever encounter. I can't stand the thought of you being killed. For now, try not to be alone with strangers. If you really can't spare servants, then find a friend or family member to stick with you. Take care. I can't wait for our date. Chapter 3. You're neither early nor late. Are you surprised? I would have thought that after last time you would have understood just how skilled I am at disguises. I certainly hope that I look presentable. Ah, how kind. After all the research I did on you, I have a bit of an idea about your preferences. And I decided to design my disguise along those lines. Why, certainly. Finding out what a target's type is one of the most useful things an assassin can know. If I hadn't wanted to speak with you alone when we first met, I would have instead likely posed as an admirer and seduced you instead. People are at their most vulnerable when they're head over heels for someone. Oh, believe me, I certainly did consider creating a whole false identity to appeal to your tastes, just to win you over and bring you to the block months. But, Mom, my decision to try and get you to fall in love with me was a personal, emotional decision. It wouldn't really satisfy that side of myself if you fell in love with an act that I put on for you rather than the real me. Anyway, shall we go in? I have already reserved a table for both of us. What did I tell you? The food here is excellent. Really, it's a bigger draw than the alcohol. The owner apparently once had loftier ambitions, but had to settle for owning a small tavern like this one. Of course, I imagine you don't visit taverns often. That's one of the downsides of being a noble, in my opinion. Everyone expects you to eat and drink only the very best, and that's all you ever get. No variety. I'm fortunate in that regard. As part of a noble family, I can enjoy the finer things, but when I go undercover as an assassin, I can experience a whole other side of the world. Yeah, I suppose I'm romanticizing it a little. It's hardly a glamorous job or even a respectable one. And yet, it's not without its perks. Oh, it's not as romantic or mysterious of a story as you might expect. It's not like I was raised by an ancient order of assassins or kidnapped and forced to learn the craft. I just discovered I had a knack for killing. Well, of course that's true. The first time was, oh, it was so very long ago. My mother was poor. Not because of oppression or misfortune. She was just foolish. She was easily tricked into spending her money on scams, phony miracle tonics, fake business investments, and the like. She just seemed incapable of learning from her mistakes. It always hurt, knowing that I was going hungry because she couldn't stop spending. And then it was always far, far worse whenever my father would show up. He would show up suddenly, telling her he was out on one surefire lead to riches or another, wringing as much money as he could out of her, and then leaving for months at a time. And every single time she decided that this time he changed, as was being genuine. As you can imagine, my upbringing was damaging to my psyche. I went hungry so often, and all because of him. The thought occurred to me that if he stopped coming, my mother and I would be able to eat a proper meal for once. If you don't mind, I'd rather not go into the gruesome details. He was physically weak and constantly drunk, so let's suffice it to say that it wasn't difficult for even a child to deal with him using the element of surprise. And after that, it just sort of kept happening. More people would enter my life, lured by my mother's reputation for gullibility, and I'd find a way to get rid of them. One day, I realized that I could actually get paid for it and finally stop going hungry. Before I left home for good, though, I decided to put my mother out of her misery. It's not something I'm proud of, but I was barely a teenager at that point and still very much in a terrible state of mind. I'm sorry. That was far too much to share so soon. The point of this date was to make me seem less intimidating. Rest assured, I'm not the same person that I was back then. I suppose I can't claim that I'm not dangerous. I am still a professional killer, but I'm more controlled now. When the Blancmonts took me in, they helped me heal a bit. It's part of why I owe them so much. Well, fortunately, I think the play will lighten the somber mood I've just brought upon us. It's a splendid comedy. Shall we? Oh, that never gets old. What did you think about it? I thought you might. You've been under a great deal of stress lately, particularly thanks to me. I imagined that something lighthearted would agree with you. Yet another unfortunate side of noble life. Comedies are so often seen as lowbrow by the wealthy. You know, if we were to be wed, we could do more things like this. You'd have so few responsibilities, with the weight of your family's finances no longer burdening you. And the Blancmonts wouldn't think less of you for doing the sort of things that we've done tonight. Guilty as charged. Yes, I did want to give you a taste of what you're missing. I want to show you why agreeing to be mine is a much easier choice than you're making it out to be. But I'm not finished yet. If you'll recall, there was one more thing I wanted to do on this date. And it's still a surprise now. So, if you'll wait until we get there and find out what it is. Come along. It's not that far. Oh, while we walk, what are your interests? Sharp as ever. Yes, I know exactly what your interests are, but I've never heard you describe them. There's so much you can learn from someone based on how they describe the things that are... There's so much you can learn from someone based on how they describe the things that are important to them. Oh, well, that actually comes as a surprise. You always act like fencing lessons are a chore. Ah, how shrewd. Making people think you're less enthusiastic than you are so that they'll underestimate your skill with a blade at a crucial moment. I knew I fell for you for a good reason. But are you sure it is wise to tell me that? Although I do insist that I won't harm you, you really would be wise to consider me the greatest threat to your life currently. I don't hear that often. Not from people who know who I really am. Why do you trust me? That is so like you. You say something so cunning, followed immediately by something incredibly naive. Well, naive may be unfair. Optimistic, I suppose, would be a better word. I find it so enchanting. You're someone cunning enough to earn my respect, but you also very much have a wholesome, hopeful side. I lost touch with that side of me a long time ago. I can't help but think that you would complete me. Oh, but we can talk more about such things later. We've arrived. I'm not surprised you don't see the appeal. This may appear to be a mere abandoned building, but follow me a bit further. You'll see. This is one of my safe houses. Or, it was. I've converted it into something more cozy. I was thinking that if we're going to ever grow closer, we need a way to meet each other more easily. This can be a sort of secret hideaway, just for the two of us. We should try and figure out some sort of schedule where we can regularly meet here and just, well, do whatever comes to mind. This way we don't have to fear scrutiny or intrusion. Oh, and here's the best part. Come over here to the balcony. You see, you would have no way of knowing based on the surroundings, but the view of the city is absolutely breathtaking, isn't it? So what do you think of this? Would it be agreeable to meet here every so often? I'm glad. I've been craving a chance to be alone with you for an extended period for once. No more of this sneaking around, stealing little moments where we can. In fact, I was hoping we could spend the night here. Are you sure you need to leave? No, it's alright. I didn't tell you to expect an overnight stay, so it's reasonable that you have other plans. But I do hope we can figure out something soon. Perhaps the evening after next? I would love that. Well, then it's probably best that I don't walk you home. Even in disguise, I should avoid the Noirville estate. But I'll see you very soon. Until then. Chapter 4. Hold completely still. No sudden movements. No, this isn't a joke. If it was, I wouldn't be holding a knife to your throat. Again. And this isn't some kind of act, either. There would be no need while we are in our hideaway. I'm being perfectly serious. Let me ask you one simple question. Did you tell anyone about us? Anyone? Well, I expected you to deny it. I wish I could just trust you at your word, but if I were the type of person to do that, I'd have been killed long ago. The problem is that Edward Blancmont, the head of the family, in case you'd forgotten, asked me a multitude of questions about you just an hour ago. It is unusual because he's never asked me in such detail about my missions before. Not since I became a fully fledged member of his family. He's always trusted the details of my assignments to me. Well, obviously, I told him I was just taking my time. You're not an immediate threat, and it's normal for me to spend a long time preparing. It's not strictly a lie, and I'd rather he not know that we're romantically involved, for obvious reasons. I have plenty of reasons to suspect that you leaked information. Not directly to the Blancmonts, of course. You wouldn't want that any more than me. But if you were naive enough to say something to your idiot brother, he'd certainly be stupid enough to do it. I wouldn't be surprised if he sees you as a rival for your family's fortune. Do you deny that only 3 days ago you had a secret conversation with him? One you went to great lengths to avoid anyone overhearing. Don't play coy. You're not good at it. You got in a carriage with him ostensibly for a relaxing evening ride, but the carriage took all sorts of unexpected turns and avoided areas with foot traffic. It was as if they were avoiding letting anyone follow them. I know because I was trying to follow. I certainly hope that doesn't come as a shock. If I in any way gave you the impression that I wasn't going to keep watch over you, then it was completely unintentional. Well, if you didn't tell him, then what did you talk about? It was clear you were trying to hide some kind of secret. I can't decide if this is some kind of mind game or if you've gone insane. It's a secret. You're saying you can't tell me while I'm holding a knife to your throat. I wasn't expecting you to tell me that you were sharing our secret, but I thought you'd at least try to make something up. That. I can't deny it. That's very sweet. Nobody's ever told me that they don't want to lie to me. In my line of work, lies are normally a given. But this is the worst possible time for this. I really want to be wrong, but I need to hear something believable if I'm going to trust you again. What could possibly be so important that you can't tell me? Honestly, I think I have no choice but to believe you. Nobody could lie about something like that with a straight face. And you do make a good point. I'd rather you the type of person to keep a secret even if your life were at risk. It's a good trait, especially given our situation. I'm sorry for threatening you. You must understand, it's second nature for me to doubt people. As I've said before, I wouldn't have lived very long as an assassin if I didn't foster a healthy bit of paranoia. But if it's not you, then I'm not sure what to think. I can't imagine any reason why Edward would suddenly be bringing up these questions. It's just... I just noticed the bag you're holding. What's in it? Oh. Oh, look at those. I thought I recognized the smell. I love these pastries. That was very thoughtful. But you didn't happen to get them from the bakery across from the fountain, did you? So that's it. That explains everything. Of course, you couldn't have known. Well, I technically shouldn't be telling you this, but that bakery is a cover. The Blancmonts secretly own it. And it's a safe house that I use to lay low and stash supplies. They have other uses for it as well, but that's not relevant. Well, of course. Think about it. The Blancmonts assigned me to assassinate you. Then one day, you show up at a safe house with an unusual order. That's far too many pastries for one person. There are many bakeries closer to your home, and as far as they know, you don't have anyone that you would meet in this part of town. Well, it would look to them like you're scoping out the place. They must be worried that the noir veils have caught on to the bakery's true purpose. Perhaps because I slipped up somehow. No, it's nothing to worry about. It was astonishing enough of a coincidence to catch their attention, but they'll soon come to the conclusion that it was nothing more. The Noir Veils wouldn't do something as foolish as sending one of their own family members to investigate a suspected enemy safe house. I wouldn't worry about it. I know how the Blancmonts operate. They could stand to be a little more cautious than normal for a while, but we're safe. They won't suspect anything. No, I don't blame you. This is my fault for not telling you about the safe house. I didn't think it was likely you'd ever visit it, but given how close it is to our hideout, that may have been a short-sighted assumption. Goodness, what a terrible twist of fate that was. You stopped by the bakery on your way here to get a gift for me, expecting me to be so pleased, and instead I sneak in the back entrance and threaten your life. I'm truly very sorry about that. Here, let's... Oh. Well, it's just that you flinched. You're still scared of me. I understand, but... Well, no, I don't understand. This isn't even the first time I've threatened you. When I say that out loud, it doesn't sound very comforting. What I mean to say is, you know who I am. I'm an assassin, and you're my target. I just don't see how you can act so surprised by this. Wait, don't leave. I don't want to end the conversation this way. Please, listen. I acted in a perfectly logical way. Surely you'd do the same in my position. Really? You just trust me? Just like that? But how can you say that? You'd be a fool to trust me. I certainly don't expect you to. It's not fair to ask each other to risk everything for the other like that. It's funny. I've heard people say that you need to be vulnerable in a relationship. That you have to put yourself in the position where you could be hurt in order to really love somebody. I never really believed it, but... Well, the results certainly seem to speak for themselves. I thought I was making the right choice, and yet I threatened you over nothing, and now things are strained between us. If I was looking in from the outside, I consider that paranoia, not logic. And not the healthy sort of paranoia. I can't say I understand or even agree, but I have to admit I'm not entirely familiar with how this works. Don't get me wrong, I've been in relationships before, in a way, at least. They were fake relationships to get closer to my targets. I know how to go through the motions, but I don't have any idea how to make it real. That's what I want with you. So maybe I should let you take the lead on this. I've been in control of how things progress between us the entire time up until now. But even I realize that it's not how this is supposed to work. Yes. Show me how to be vulnerable. I'll do whatever you recommend, or at least within reason. I do want things to work between us. I do like to think it's a good start, but I must confess that I'm not being entirely vulnerable by saying that. I'm introducing a little risk by letting you control the pace from now on, but I'm still an assassin. I'm confident that I could sniff out any trap if you decide to set one for me. Yes, well, like I said, I need to learn. Baby steps, as they say. You know, before Edward Blancmont started questioning me, I had been thinking that I wanted to ask you. Could we... No, never mind. I realize it's not appropriate after everything that just happened. Another time. For now, I don't suppose you have an appetite. Those pastries won't eat themselves.